Your assignment from an allowance versus what we actually paid.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. Tiffany, I'm going to try to.
If you want. Like Zoom.
iPhone. Shortcut.
Suddenly, the choice. Looks like it. Says we don't have a camera on yet. Oh, my camera.
Yeah.
You need me to have, you need me to be on video as well?
You're gonna present.
I'll be speaking at some point, I'm sure, but
Okay.
if I turn my microphone array on, is that going to conflict with?
Like the still background work.
And it doesn't run.
So you'll have to. You're.
So,
So like if you're.
it, secret private.
I put a post-it note.
We didn't break it when we turned it on, so I guess we'll be okay. Just grab it and cast it when that time comes. If that's the case. Okay. Get back.
Like the uncle. Yeah, I don't have a.
Get back to the main screen. Okay.
If you can. Little
Switch
guy
forward.
over.
Okay.
In my trial and error.
Jump on.
Paul, can you hear us?
Hello?
I wanted to make sure I could hear you.
I could hear you. But is the Teams not working with the sound?
Oh, it is.
It's working now. They hear our conversation.
Oh, okay, that's weird. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, now I heard. Bye.
We just have to speak into the microphone. Sorry, Paul.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We ready?
I believe so. Ah,
I am 30 on the computer.
okay. Yep. We're good.
Let's call the meeting to order. Tiffany, please take the roll.
Councilman Harjo,
Present.
Councilwoman Workla,
Present.
Present.
Mayor Syke.
Present. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum for this meeting Thursday, January 15th, 2026. Before we go to conflict of interest declaration, I'm going to call
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman.
I move that we amend the agenda to add the / decision to agenda item number 1.
There's been a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been motion and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders,
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy,
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla,
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
All right. Run down to conflict of interest and declaration. Has any council member received information pertaining to or otherwise had any contact with any person regarding any items on this city council agenda? If so, please set forth nature.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
I've had email contacts from Dennis Pearl, and I hope I get forgiveness from Nicholas, but I believe his last name is pronounced Gatton.
Okay.
Gatejen. And then I've had a conversation with you.
Councilman Harjo,
I also received an email from Dennis Pearl.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla,
I received an email from Dennis.
Mayor, Councilman McCarthy.
I received an email from Dennis Pearl, Nicholas Gatigan. Received a conversation with Hunter Dilge, Daniel Brand.
All right, we'll run down to agenda item number 1, discussion decision with relevant parties at legal. Councilman Sanders, I'll let you take the lead on that.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. First of all, I want to apologize to a lot of folks because of the rather awkward way this came about for discussion. It was just a matter of circumstances that aligned in a manner that where I felt like if it was not brought forward immediately, it would never even see the light of day. And so purpose from my perspective now is that the information that we can gather about whether or not there are any alternatives be discussed and then a vote taken on how we move forward. Since one of the major concerns for us was the continued support of our partners, Mr. Mayor, may I ask you how the response to the invitations went?
I asked them personally, and I'm going to assume, I'm not going to assume anything other than short notice. They all had things that they were apparently they had things to do. A couple of them said that they have already spoken enough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
May I continue?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then my next major concern is going to be with legal. We had several questions around the contract, its contacts, and the abilities within the contract. So, Paul, if you're still in there and out there in the world, would you mind filling in the blanks for us?
Yes, thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I've gone through all of the agreements and the addendums with the agreements with the contractor, and then also with the URA, that agreement as well. Sorry, I'm reading as I'm speaking. Um, the many of the things that were raised yesterday by Mr. Sanders regarding the GUHO contract, I've reviewed those in particular. Uh, of the table of articles, I've looked over 7, 8, 9, 12. Uh, basically, that I read the whole thing, but those are the ones that are appropriate for this. And so the main question that was asked of me is there an ability in this agreement to modify it if the parties wished? So let me, there's two avenues, there's three avenues to take with this, which is a prior city council executed this agreement, and the agreement, the four corners of the document has been executed, and the parties are acting accordingly based upon that. That's one option, that whatever the deal was, it's been made. Second option is there an ability to modify the agreement, and there is, and that comes out of uh, Article 9, which is the changes of it, that can there be changes to this agreement in either the work or how it's paid or in all those things. And there are available remedies under 9. The other one that was raised is, can you actually suspend and or terminate the agreement? The answer to that also is yes. That's under Article 12 of the agreement. The Some of the main questions is mostly from Councilmember Harjo, is, are there any ramifications, and if any, what are they, given those three choices? Uh, the one that I suspect is the one that matters the most, at least to why we're here tonight, would be option number 2, which is, should the city council wish to try to modify the agreement, what are the potential ramifications, or what are the steps to do that? Now, of course, Contract 101 is parties to a contract offer acceptance consideration, and you have a contract. A modification of contract requires all the parties to agree to modify it. If they can't agree to modify it, then we're of course left with option 1, which is the agreement that we have. If that is unacceptable, then we're to option 3, which is where we're talking about termination of the agreement. Let me not get too far ahead of myself there, though, because option 2 is the modification thereof. If the other parties are willing to modify this agreement, are there potential ramifications to doing that? And the answer is yes. When I'm looking at Article 9, we certainly have the ability to modify it. But when you read that, as legal counsel, I'm not aware of all the potential downstream impacts this could have. But looking at the terms in Article 9 is, and then also under 8, is all of the payment schedule and the agreements with the subcontractors, all the different things that are in motion, all that's going to get thrown into a bit of a quagmire if we want to modify it at this late hour to do that. I'm not advising you against doing it necessarily, but I'm just saying that I can't. Originally, the concern was, would that constitute a breach of contract? I don't think it'd be a breach of contract. The contract considers and anticipates that things change, and we, as the owner or the controlling party, has the right to direct it as we see fit there. But that does not mean that does not come without ramifications. And I was almost joking before. I had several different highlighter pens that I use. And I mean, when I say that this camera isn't captioning it, I have an entire rainbow of all the different potential pitfalls that we might face as I'm outlining this thing, going, oh, that's a problem, and oh, that's a problem. And so I want you to tread very cautiously before we modify this agreement at this late hour. If all the parties are in agreement to do that, becomes drastically easier to do this. Termination, the option 3, has all sorts of ramifications because we basically have obligated ourselves to pay for an awful lot, and we'd have to recreate the wheel in doing it. Option 1, of course, is what the prior city council agreed to do, and that's where we're at. If you guys have specific questions about specific terms in this agreement, I'm relatively well versed in it now, although I gotta admit it reads like stereo instructions.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders?
Paul, do you have a copy of that contract with you?
I do.
I'm sorry if I had to put you on the spot, but would you take a look at Article 10.8.2? I believe that references the final payment.
Yes.
Last
10,
paragraph of that
and
section.
you're talking
it
about
talks of
the, I'm sorry, let me get it. And you're talking about not any of the addendums, but the original?
the original.
Okay. When the work is complete, construction manager shall prepare for owner's written acceptance, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I'm looking for the part where it talks about the balance of the GMP being paid.
Okay, 10.8.3.
8 or 10?
10-8-3 is where it talks about final payment.
Oh, I'm looking at 10 dash, what was it?
10.8.2 says when the work's complete, the CM shall prepare an acceptance of final application of payment that to the best
Yes.
of the CM's knowledge and inspections, the work has reached final completion in accordance with the CDs.
And 10.8.3 is where you were reading, correct?
No, that's 8.2. 8.3
Yeah,
is final payment of the balance of the GMP shall be made to CM within 20 days after the CM has submitted an application for final payment, including submissions required under 10.8.4, and the certification of final completion has been executed by the parties.
Do you have a copy of that GMP available?
I do.
I would like for you to look at the very last page at the very bottom. In your opinion,
That-
as you, just as you, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, that can't be it. The document that
It's
I guess you
GMP
need to be more
agreement.
specific because I have bid package 29 is at the end of my stuff.
I'm looking at the GMP revision 01 dated 10/7/25.
10.
It's also the exhibit B on the URA's latest agreement.
Okay, give me a minute. No, that's not it.
Mayor.
Councilman Brennan?
Uh,
McCarthy, I'm sorry.
No, I don't see, I can't find that, by the way.
Councilman Sanders, would you mind, for clarification, which document you're specifically referring to besides the
Right.
contract?
I show, sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead, Tiff.
I show exhibit B as a work schedule.
No, I'm talking about in the URA's agreement,
Oh,
the
the
latest
URA.
one.
Oh,
The exact same document I'm referencing for UHO, it was made exhibit B in the latest URA. So those,
oh, I
the
don't,
same documents there as exhibit B in the URA contract now.
okay, let me get.
Okay,
That may be a little
URA.
faster for Paul to find.
Yeah. All right, now I got the got that agreement in front of me.
And if you look at exhibit B, that's the GMP Rev 1 from October 7 of 25, which is also embodied in the
Exhibit B for me is bid estimates.
When you compare the two, they're going to be the exact same document. So my question though, I need you to have that
Okay.
document in front of you. Go down to the bottom of the page, of the last page of that, where it shows the work total and then the contingency and then the fees, and then it gives a total.
Tiff.
I'm gonna have to trust what you're telling me because,
I just emailed it to you.
all right, because it's written in the font that I am not a young enough man to read.
Here. I'm
Okay, I got it. Whoa.
We got you. We got you still. You're here. Oh, now you
Okay.
disappeared.
Yeah, I just lost my whole camera here. Wait, 1 second.
Councilman Brennan or McCarthy.
We're gonna get you. 8 years. So.
Yeah, sorry.
Am I back?
Tiffany.
yes, you're on, Paul.
Yes, can you send that?
All right.
Sorry.
Oh, First Amendment. All right, I don't have that doc. Thank you, Tiff. Okay, A is drawings. A lot of drawings. B, okay, I do have that. B is bid estimates. Okay, and you're asking me to look at this last page, GMP1 budget, correct?
Correct. Correct.
All right, so I am down to, oh, contingency. All right. I see where you're, okay, I see what you're pointing out.
So my question is, when I'm looking back at the final payment language, and it talks about paying the final of the GMP, in your opinion, is that the very last number in terms of total at the bottom?
Repeat your question.
I guess the question I'm asking is, the contract is 4.9 million.
Right.
That
Oh, I
contract
see where you're
includes a
going.
contingency of over $400,000. The contract language says that at the end, and we do have final, if there's any balance remaining on the GMP, we would be paying that. I'm asking, does that include the contingency?
It appears total cost 4,044,178. Contingency 400, excuse me, that's not right. Total cost 3,638,762. Contingency is 404,418. And when
So his question is let's say we did the whole project and it's 3.9 or
The
Four-
work, sorry,
yeah.
Mr.
the 4 point something, and let's say we didn't have to use any contingency and we had $404,000 left. Does Mr. Anthony Gujo get that contingency if we didn't need to use it?
My-
I'm paraphrasing Councilman Sanders, is that correct?
That's kind of the gist of it. Who owns the contingency? At the end of the contract, when it's all said and done, we've signed off final acceptance. Who owns the contingency?
Well, without addressing this particular document, legally, I would say that because it is quote unquote contingent, that if it isn't utilized, then the contingency would not come into play. However, as I'm looking at this document, I admit that I'm a little confused. That it appears to say 3.6 million, but then it appears to include the contingency of 400,000, which puts it to the 4 million. And then there's a CMGC fee of 449,000, which then gets us to the total of 4.9 million. But I mean, legally, I would say, I mean, just what I just said. The purpose of a contingency fee is it's contingent upon being necessary. It isn't automatically included just cause. You read that differently.
Well, when the contract language at 10.8.3 doesn't carve out the contingency and it's contained within the total project price, it left me a little confused.
I'm confused with you. I can only tell you legally what I believe it means as to the contingency fee itself, but looking at these numbers, I'd have to, I mean, I'm shooting from the hip at Tad here, but The numbers are confusing me a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders?
at this point, we don't have the critical partners necessary to have the information we need to know if they're even willing. And in fact, and I take you at your word, when one of them said they've said enough, we're not going to have all the players at the table we need to take a hard look at whether or not this opportunity could come to fruition or not. We can't take a look at the risk. We can't assess them. We can't weigh the pro versus the con. But I would like to hear from my other council members.
Okay. Council, got anything for Councilman Sanders?
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo?
In an effort to not have a meeting about meetings, I'd like to understand what the actual goal to accomplish is out of this. These contracts have been executed. Work is underway. The majority of people sitting up front here took place in the groundbreaking ceremony, yes, including yourselves. The previous council went through these agreements. URA, their partners with Land Group, Rudine and Associates, their legal department, our legal department, Pioneer, their board and legal department. I think it's due to us sitting up here, as well as the people concerned about this and our partners in this project. What is the goal of this? Stated to put an action on the agenda, but what is the action? Because it's not been stated. Is the goal to pause the project as promoted the other day? Is it to cancel the project? And if so, we need to discuss those and not drag these meetings out, bring people in as a function to put people under the microscope. That this project has gone through its steps, starting May of 23, when this became an official mindset of the city and the URA in partnership, preceding Councilwoman Workla. So I think it's due to us to understand what today's goal is, what the goal of this effort is.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders?
it's my personal opinion. That's what you've asked for. So I will say to you, when I took office, I believe I have a responsibility, an obligation, to work for the people that elected me. We all have that because we're all elected servants. Part of that is to manage what we have, to undo anything done by those previous. What I see is a potential opportunity to save money from the taxpayers on the city side. It is an obligation to bring that forward, even if it's a faint hope, because oftentimes you never know what an opportunity is going to present. And I will continue that type of due diligence, not only as we create new documents going into the future in contracts, but I'll continue that due diligence in the management of those contracts.
Understood, Mayor.
Councilman Harjo?
The question remains. As presented today, what is the goal? Because today, this special meeting was created at your request, confirmed by the council. You've added an action to today's, but there's still no stated action. So what is the goal? You presented that the concept of pushing this to a point where the city could budget for it. Yet the project has been fully fleshed, executed, and fully funded by the two funding sources. Those agreements are in place. The consequences of delay or cancellation of the project as presented on Tuesday are pretty significant. Paul's touched on some of those. I've touched on some of those. It feels like this is an effort to put a to put a magnifying glass on something of concern, and I certainly respect that. However, I ask again, what is the actual goal to accomplish? To delay until city funding is available to cover what is perceived as a shortfall, even though it's been documented that there is not a budget shortfall? Is it to push the project out indefinitely? Like, I think we also deserve to understand what that is without moving the goalpost.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
Councilman Harjo, with all due respect, the project is the combination of all the partners involved. So what is the city's contribution in dollars and cents? That's another question that hasn't gone answered. The funding you say we have in excess deals with only a portion of the contract. So in doing the management of these contracts within the scope and the abilities, we need to have the discussion on what we can do. And I'm not saying just because we can do a thing, we should do a thing. But if there's an opportunity to have that discussion, it needs to be here. And where are we going with this? I think Paul laid out already 3 possibilities. One is validate what's been done before and see that this opportunity is not going to be viable. And we continue on with the project management of all these projects and the contracts associated with them as we would in any other ordinary day. But we took the time to make sure we were acting in a way that was in the best interest of the city. The second one says if the partners are willing, we could. That could be another action this council might take. And then there's the one I don't know that anybody really wants to have to take. But in fact, it is again an option. So could you put just one action item down for this? I don't believe it would have been fair to have done so. So this is where we are. And I think we're close to coming to a place where we can bring this to it. That will be the action item after the deliberation and discussion of the factors we've came here to talk about.
So council, what do you guys want to do? Do you have a motion for anything? Councilwoman Workla?
Or did you want to say something? Yeah, so I agree. I think we should have a conversation on this. Councilman Harjo states that everything's fully funded by the parties involved. Councilman Sanders says with his research, there shows a $500,000 shortfall. So I think that's where we need to go is figure out, I don't think any of us sitting up here, and I won't speak for all of us, but I don't think we want to, I don't want to terminate the project. Now, if we could suspend it maybe 6 months until the URA gets their check again, was it July or something like that, that to fully fund the project in its entirety, and then we're not doing $500,000 of in-kind work, then that's what I was asking from day one. Councilman Sanders just did a better job of putting it as a presentation for everyone to see. So if his presentation is accurate per legal, then we do need to take that in consideration that there's potentially $500,000 of taxpayer money that's going to go into this project. And if we can wait 6 months until URA gets their paycheck and can fully fund it, I don't think the contract says 6 months from exact date to exact date. I think it just says 6 months in general. Am I correct, Paul?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, may I speak?
Yes, sir.
I think, so what I took out of all of this is from the PowerPoint presentation on Tuesday, there was an original representation a few years back that the URA might be paying for virtually all of it, but that it would be on a time window of approximately 5 years because of the funding mechanism. At some point, that window got squeezed a little tighter, and the city obligated itself for approximately $500,000 of that cost. So the questions now presented, I'm glad to see that we're not entertaining option number 3, which means right now you are on option number 1 because that has been executed and we are adhering to the terms of that agreement. Pursuant to Article 9, we are always at our option to be able to potentially modify the agreement, which would be the option 2. I think the trick to this, and as far as delaying 6 months, I mean, all these things are kind of, we're all forgivably so um, being a little bit arbitrary in how we're phrasing this, because the bottom line is perhaps the URA will say, yeah, we'd be happy to keep funding this, but here's our funding window. And we would have to figure that out in line with the current construction schedule that we have outlined in our option 1, which is our agreement that we have. So you do, just like anything else, you do a cost benefit analysis. If we could save a dime by waiting 6 months or whatever the arbitrary term is for when the URA has more money, by spending $2 more, well, that's not going to work because of the change orders and the if we have got subcontractors lined up, all the different things that the ball is in motion right now. But with Decker said it point blank correctly, is, you know, the parties are not at the table here. And if they can, if they'll entertain that option of saying, no, we don't have to change a thing. Everything, we got this subcontractor showing up at this date, all the prices are in. We don't have to do a change order as to the cost of any of these things. And just by the act of doing the contract, we could delay certain things and get more funding available. I guess that's great for the option 2, but I do not believe, and at least my legal advice to you all is, do not jeopardize option number 1 by chasing a dime by spending a dollar. Do you guys understand kind of what I mean there? Is there could be some downstream impacts of delaying a contract. And while we might get further funding from another entity, if they're willing to do it, again, remember the option 2 is if all parties agree. If they don't agree and they just say, no, 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 we're good to go with what we've got, we're kind of stuck with number 1. And then now we're at the scorched earth of number 3. And I don't think anybody was willing to do that. So if things can work where we have a community partnership with the URA and Pioneer and the like, and that we can do something that's workable with an option 2, fine. That's fine by me as well. But I do not want to jeopardize the agreement that we have, which will then ultimately cost us more. And that's what I'm worried. That's my worry. And as I'm reading this, that was my worry 2 days ago. And as I read this agreement, and I joke because of my outliners or highlighters that I'm using, but it only became more fortified, that fear that I have.
Councilman Sanders. Sorry. Councilman Sanders.
Mayor, given the discussion at this point, let me see if I can put a pin in this. The URA has stated that they have nothing further to say. That keeps a partner off the table that's necessary. So at this point, I make a motion that we take no further action on this opportunity. We move forward with the existing contracts with continued to see the project and the contracts, all of them involved to fruition.
There's been a motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been motioned and, well, let me, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Councilman McCarthy.
Okay. Trying to put all this in. I think it sounds, and I'm not trying to speak for everyone here, but from what I'm understanding, and it sounds, again, correct me, but we're not for option 3. I'm not for option 3. I think the project is great. We can go through it. I mean, that's why I was showed up to support the groundbreaking and that. To me, there are questions of the in-kind work. And while I understand concerns that Councilman Harjo brings up, to me, I will say that I feel the due diligence is having these conversations here for the public to know what is going with taxpayer dollar. Because again, it can be we can say it's in kind all day, but we're still paying salaries. We're still using city equipment. We're still using city supplies, when it comes to water and wastewater and that. So to me, it's having this conversation of what's truly coming from this income, and is it truly saving the taxpayer dollar then instead of having the contractor out. Again, I get that there has been many conversations and meetings on that prior to Councilman Sanders and myself, and as Councilman Harjo pointed out, to Councilwoman Workala and Councilman Harjo's tenure. But again, having these conversations to know this in-kind work, what is it going to take away from? Is it truly taking away from projects, or is it truly, we had these extra hours or anything like that, or this material and that? Everything costs something. And to me, that is the due diligence to being a good steward of the taxpayers' money, is understanding that. And I don't feel that having these conversations now, in the public, and that is something that should be necessarily looked down upon, on that. Because again, when I have constituents, that are concerned about our infrastructure and that, I think it is a great idea. It is a needed conversation on what is going on with the taxpayer dollar and that. So again, it sounds like we're not for option 3. I think we're all somewhat in agreement. Again, I'm not speaking for the whole council, but I am not for option 3. But again, having this understanding of how many hours are we using? What's the fuel cost? I mean, even in the city equipment, the hours we're putting on, all that, all cost. And so is it truly a cost? Because correct me if I'm wrong, it was talked about how this is a training opportunity. So is it a cost savings because we have the expertise and the hours to do this? Or is it truly going to cost more because if you had the expertise, be saving? So to me, I do feel that these conversations are warranted and needed to make sure that we are being good stewards of the taxpayer. I can respect the wills or the wishes and the direction of prior city councils and that, but to me, I cannot in good conscience go along with something just because this was already done, this was already voted for, have a nice day. To me, that is not fulfilling my oath that I took. So with that being said,
Sorry.
Council Wolfley.
So I know the maker of the motion said, you already said they're not going to come, but after hearing this conversation and them knowing that we're not trying to sabotage a good project, but yet we're trying, the presentation that you presented on Tuesday was excellent and it was for the citizen. So I kind of wish you didn't make that motion, or maybe you want to amend that motion or something to see if we can have a URA be willing to come back and talk to council, and see if they're willing to maybe wait the 6 months, right? We don't know that. Yes, they said that they're done talking, but maybe they will come back and talk. I know we don't want to drag this out any longer. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it tonight, but I'm with Councilman McCarthy on this. I will not say I to option 1. Option 2 is all the way, in my opinion. If we can save, and when you say nickel or dime, this is $500,000, right? Potentially. So, or more. I mean, we don't know how much it's going to cost for labor that's put into this, right? It's all a guess. And I don't want to gamble with the people's money. So with the maker of the motion, are you standing firm on your motion?
Are you, Councilman Harjo, you got something?
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo?
We'll break this out into two topics. First, the addressed cost per hour. The fully executed contract states the construction management, the project manager, and the project engineer per hour charge according to the contract. This again was all factors that were discussed both by the administration with GUHO. This has been discussed amongst the council. It is quite easy to back into the numbers of what those figures compared to what the Mountain Home Railroad Park budget dated from 3/12/25 supplied by Anthony Guho per bid item breaks out the actual cost per their estimate in what would later become the not to exceed. For instance, let's find site demo because that is one that the city of Mountain Home agreed to take.
While you're looking for that, Councilman Sanders, you're in charge.
Lord help us all.
So site demo, according to the cost of what GUHO Construction would charge for site demo work for demoing hardscapes, demoing landscapes, the incidental irrigation patch and repair, and the asphalt paving, respectively 16,000, 11,000, 2,500, and 21,000, rounded off to the numbers of what GUHO would charge. One could easily back into the numbers of what their hours estimates are. They have the number of square feet to address in that. With the city workers, which first and foremost are not getting paid $149 an hour and not getting paid $96 an hour, close with fringe. Immediately that's identified as cost savings in and of itself. The city as an entity is entitled to do maintenance and construction on its own properties. And Title 50 is very clear that the powers of the mayor, whether you like it or not, that through Title 50, 602, the mayor shall have the chief administrative official of the city and have the superintending control of all officers and affairs of the city. So in the administrative actions leading up to the point in which we're at now, the administration, the staff, the URA, Anthony Guho, the Radine Group, the Land Group, they all went through the factors of these items, and especially that of the railroad park budget, and decided what things the city is capable of doing, which we desire to do, what are training opportunities, and where the cost savings were. It's been brought up a number of times that the URA sharpened their pencils. Well, the city staff sharpened the pencil as well. And so did Anthony Guho. And this is the nuance that lies behind the decisions that were made by the preceding council and the decisions that were made by the administrative staff within their statutory rights and within the URA within their statutory rights. So again, like, there are a great number of details that you may seek, and that is understandable. The details do exist. They have been addressed, both on the administrative side and the public side. This is the avenue and the arena to have these conversations, and there's no doubt about that. But to question if these actions have been done or done thoroughly it is understandable why we have this scenario that incoming council are questioning what has happened on this project, but the methodology to get to this point, it goes back to the adage, this could have been an email or a meeting with staff and not this emergency addition to a meeting. It's framed in such a way that it's very easily assumed that there's a willful desire to jump to Paul's alternative 2 or alternative 3. The motion's on the table to allow these things to persist in the contracts that are executed currently. I'll move on from the cost and address the 6-month delay concept. The consequences behind the 6-month delay concept: for every CMGC, every sub that has already set their schedules for their company and their staff, to delay that 6 months, again, to state it in another way, we're going to step over $5 million of funding to try to find a couple of dimes in the process. And if that's the direction that some council choose to go, I think it is unfortunately short-sighted to what has been accomplished, what data is already available. And again, these topics could have been conversations with the people who have had those meetings, discussions that put us in a place that we could execute these as they have been executed now.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
okay, Councilwoman Wakala.
Thank you. So I just want to point out that the April 22nd, 2025 meeting that you're referencing, where we did approve for the project to move forward, it was a unanimous aye. Everyone said yes. The reason why I said yes is because on Exhibit A, there was a blank page, no project design drawings, and Exhibit B, there was no bid estimates. It was another blank page. So shame on me for not catching that until October, when those when those numbers start coming down the line, and Councilwoman Garvey and myself were like, wait a minute, why is this city in-kind work all blank? So again, yes, shame on me for not calling that out to the city and saying, why is Exhibit B bid estimates blank? I did not get these numbers. So I want to make that clear that those numbers were not in our packet, and I put it on the citizen too to look up April 22nd, 2025. They're blank pages attached to that contract.
Councilman Sanders.
Mr. Mayor, first, I'd like to thank Councilman Harjo for supporting my motion.
All right, with that, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Nay.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.